So like I've hit a wall from a weight loss standpoint, and just kind of like get your take in not so many words of how you advise people, your clients, me, on like when you hit that wall or that plateau in your, whether it's weight loss, you're trying to bulk up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I lost the 35. You guys have heard it a bunch. But my gains at the gym have slowed.
Yeah.
They've not come to a halt. Like I'm still getting stronger, but like I was getting frustrated because the scale wasn't changing.
Yeah.
And, I have certain goals that I want to hit and they're like not coming as fast as they were when the first 3 months I was into it. So like you and I had some conversation back and forth. I think we should kind of share what that conversation looks like, as well as like, honestly,
throw it up right here.
Yeah. Throw the text messages up here. But like what that, how you work with your clients around hitting that wall.
Yeah. So it's, the thing is
and his feedback to me is going to be different than what he gives to clients. We have a different relationship.
Absolutely different. The thing is like everything kind of operates on a cycle, and because the way I think about it is like it's almost like a rut, like you're doing the same thing for a long time, like you're just digging deeper and deeper into these ruts and then you end up getting stuck. And so I always look at things kind of like at 6 months at a time. So, I mean, the way that I've done things for a while now, and like this is not a super structured way, but the way I look at it is like I get to this point in time and it's, summer's coming. Like I try to, spend more time running with my shirt off and doing like more and more activity and maybe eating a little bit less because I like, looking shredded for the summer because I'm going to walk around with my shirt off all the time. And then so as we get into the winter, I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat more, probably going to spend less time running, and I'm going to lift heavy. Like I lift heavy all the time, but it almost kind of looks like a cutting and a bulking cycle, And that's literally every year. Like I do it every single year. It's always like wintertime, I'm going to eat as much as I can. And then I get around to this point and it's like, okay, now I'm going to start trying to do less of that, eat more fruit, smoothies, and then just run more and all that stuff. And so it's kind of just like a loose framework. Now, when it comes to like your position, like you lose 35 pounds, like that's a significant amount of weight. Like it's not like that. I mean, that's like the dream for people, like people are always like, people lose 7 pounds and they're stoked. 35, significant, and so, but you can only lose weight for so long. And there is, I believe, a little bit of like metabolic change there. Like, I mean, if you're continuing to lose weight, like it's been said that your metabolic rate will dip slightly because your body becomes aware that you're getting in less food. And that goes back to like caveman type shit because like back then, you'd adapt to having less, there being scarcity. So your body has to keep you alive. And so it conserves energy. Now, a big point is that your body's not always going to be the same as it was. Like there's stages of it all. And so, for example, like in your position where you went from losing, what'd you start at? You were at like
220.
220? So 220 down to 185. When you're at 220, like your body fat percentage was definitely way higher than it is now. But then you also probably had less muscle then. So now you're down at 185, you have much less body fat, and you've probably almost absolutely built a pretty significant amount of muscle in that switch. Muscle has mass, it has to weigh something. So when the scale starts to level out, that doesn't necessarily mean, because body fat should be the most important thing. Like the number on the scale doesn't mean shit. I wish it was easier to measure body fat, but it's just not, because we just don't have that technology readily available. Yeah. But like, I mean, if I said to somebody, if I could drop your body fat by 10%, but the scale wouldn't change, would you be okay with it? And they would say, yeah. But people equate body fat with what's on the scale. And that's just not what's going on. There's so many more things. Like your body has water that weighs something. Bones weigh something. Your organs weigh something. That stuff's never going to go away. And so when you get down to this point of like significant loss, and then maybe you start, like you said, you're like losing a little bit of strength or like feeling really tired, that's when it's time to kind of take a break from trying to just lose all the time. Because again, you're gonna hit a point where you're just gonna stop. Like, you're not gonna be able to lose anymore until you put on some more muscle. And that's almost like, it goes to that structure that I was talking about. Like, it's like you can lose, and then it's like, okay, maybe it's time to go back up in calories a little bit, maybe just do maintenance. That's what's called a diet break, or even focus on building muscle, because then your body's gonna look different. You know, like and that's the hard thing I think for people to grasp, is like, when you spent so much time losing weight, and then you hear, okay, now it's time to eat more again. They're like, oh, well, no, I just came from there. I don't want to go back to what I just was. It's like, well, it's not the same thing. You know, like, if you were to get yourself up to, say, 220, for example, you probably, I should say 220 with that level of body fat, not lifting, not working out, not eating right, that's going to get you to there. But if you then lose weight and then consistently lift, and then stay consistently lifting, and then eat well, and even if you went back up to, say, 200 from this point, it's not going to look the same as it did on the way down at 200 as it does on the way up at 200, because you're going to have more muscle, you're going to have more definition, and your body's just going to change. I mean, like, I look at myself, like, I used to have the same thing when I was in college. Like, I got super shredded when I was a junior. I was like 8% body fat. I was weighing like 152 pounds. Like, it was like the lightest I've ever been. And it was really hard for me to kind of flip the script, because I was like, I just like being shredded. I don't really want to lose this, but I also want to get stronger. Like, that was my big thing. It was like my numbers weren't moving. And I was like, I want to deadlift 400 at some point, but I can't do it without eating. And so now, I mean, I'm up probably 166, 170 at this point. And like, I weigh consistently across this year the most that I ever have, but it's not a bad gain. Like, I'm a thick boy these days, and that's because I don't play soccer anymore. Like, I focus on lifting. And so it's a different type of body type almost. Yeah. And you just have to, it's tough. I get it, but it's something that you just have to be okay with.